Hey everyone, we're at this Huntington Beach Harbor apartment building. It's about maybe 2 minutes away from the water. There's Alicia and Vinny talking business. Hey you guys, say hello.
Hello.
Good morning.
We're going to do a little bit of work. Me and Vinny, Alicia's going to be changing a faucet, and Vinny is going to get his first lesson installing or rebuilding a Pfister 3-handle unit. Could you grab me that 3-handle unit, please? Basically, it's got a few drips and a few this and a few that, and everything is. So Home Depot sells this plumbing pack by Danco, which I love. Anyway, it comes with your hot and cold and your diverter and the new seats that go in the wall, all the trim on the outside. So Vinny's never done one, and so we're gonna go ahead and let him hold the camera and watch as I do it. Alrighty, I want to show the building a little bit. You want to bring all that stuff up to E. We got the water draining from the building. I shut it off at the street, not the main, because I've had problems where people think that somebody came by and just shut the main off for nothing at the hose bib, and they end up turning it on for some reason, even though they see a service van and people around. You'd be surprised. So I go ahead and I shut it off at the street with there with that, and I'll give you a little bit of a picture of where we're at. This is the front of the building. The water is one street past those buildings and you're on the beach, and then over here, this is the building right here, and then this is the driveway over here. That I was pointing down earlier, straight down there like that. So there we go. All right, let's go and get to work, I guess. Alicia is working in apartment C, which is vacant, and I'm going to be working in apartment E, which is vacant. The owner, I put these on, I don't know how many years ago, put it with the coating. The owner wanted me to put this rough coating on there, and they wanted this, which has saved the edges from tear up going up and down with hand trucks for refrigerators. At first I was kind of against them. I figured like a tripping hazard, but they worked out really well. The owner was right. Over here is unit C. We put new door locks on the smart keys. These smart keys, as long as you got a quick set key, you can key it to any key you want using that smart key hole. This is the upstairs unit, like I said, and it's in pretty good shape. And there's Alicia getting rid of this old faucet. It has a drip, so she's going to be taking care of that. Let's see how it is. Pretty good under there. I'm sure she'll run into some issues under there. Vinny, let's head over to E and see what we got here. Place looks good, right? All right. Let's go over here. Here, I'll give you a view of the kitchen, but it's not in bad shape. So we'll go over here. This is where we're working. Hey, Alicia, I think I left the back unlocked for you because I'll be working at the window over there. Okay. I think if not, just holler at me from down below, and I'll have to get you a key for that new vehicle. That way you can get in there when you need, or use the fob, one other. Okay, this is unit E. It's a bachelor, one living room, bedroom, whatever. This is the kitchen area. We put new GFCIs yesterday, and we put a new light fixture there. This is the closet. I got the closet back on the rollers with the new locks. And this is the bathroom. Alicia's going to scrape all this out and recaulk it. This faucet, I don't remember when, but I put this on a while back when there was people here. All right, well, we're gonna go ahead and rebuild this here. What I'd like to know before I even start, and I should have, but I didn't before I shut the wall, I'd like to know how functional the diverter is, because these diverters, you can put a brand new diverter stem and brand new seat, and sometimes they still leak. And what I've been told is over the years, the manifold gets tweaked somehow, either through hot water. I can't remember the excuse he gave me. It's kind of, I don't know. If anybody knows why this happens, I'd like to know. Maybe put it in the comments. But you can put a brand new seat, stand, the whole 9 yards, and still get a pretty good dribble. And obviously, you can see that's what they had, because look, somebody put a tub spout with a diverter, So that tells me that mainly they tried to fix a diverter at one time and was unsuccessful, so they put this diverter in. So we'll see what happens. But they do say that sometimes the diverter is unfixable and you need a new manifold. I've ran across that a couple times. No matter what I did, I couldn't get this down to almost a zero stop. I don't mind a little drip, but some of them, you know, I've replaced everything and it just kind of pours. Anyway, we're gonna get busy and see what happens here. All right, I thought I would lay out the tools that you would need. Vinny, can I have that pack? Basically, if you would, Vinny, lay out that whole pack on top of this toilet tank while I go over this. What I got here is my screwdriver to take the screws off the handles. I should have brought in a handle puller, just so, you know what, I'm going to go get that handle puller so I do this right. That way, if you're watching this and you're trying to see how to handle this, you get to see all the tools that you're going to need. I'll be right back. Okay guys, I laid out everything. I'm not saying I'm going to even use half of this. I just laid some stuff out on here to kind of show you what you may need, or you know, you may not, but if you have it, it's handy. The number one thing, of course, is a screwdriver for the handles, and then you have a handle puller. If the handles don't want to come off, then we've got this puller, which just kind of like a slide bar right here. It slides and it pulls the handle off. The handle goes there, that goes where the screw goes. This is just here. Hopefully I won't have to use that today. Then of course you've got your crescent wrench and your sockets. Now if you're buying this kit, they give you a socket with it, but if you're just buying an individual hot or cold, you won't get this, and then you'll need probably this, or maybe if you're lucky you can buy just the one for your house that fits. But this comes with this over here, so we'll go over this in a minute. Okay, once you get the handles off right here and you get your trim off, you'll go ahead and you're going to need to remove your stem, which we'll all be watching in a minute. But you'll be removing this and you'll use the socket that they provided. If not, you got your own sockets. Now this is the more important part, is you're going to have seats in this wall. You're just not replacing these stems with the rubber, but you're replacing these seats that go in the wall right here. So bottom line is, they sell a universal one, which I've had for years and never used. I really don't like them because they just don't fit as well as, they don't fit as well as one that's categorized for that size. Therefore I have these guys right here. This is basically how they'll come, with the different tips like this, and it'll fit good. Can you hold this video camera? This will fit good. If it don't fit here, then it fits here. But on some price Pfister models, this will bottom out on the manifold. So what I did was I bought another one and I just cut it where I needed it and modified it. I've had this one for years. So basically I just cut it down so it doesn't hit the wall in the manifold. This is the one I'll be using today. But these are some of, if you have these will work. So let's just move these off to the side. And let's talk about what happens if you get in there and you strip. If you strip that out, that little square hole, and it gets stripped and this is no longer useful, then you'll be running around looking for a seat remover. It's got two sizes. Well, actually, it's got two sizes. And what happens is you'll pick the size that works best. I don't like this one because it barely fits in there, so you try this side, and this will go in deeper. And what this does is it'll reverse itself into there, making its own threads and breaking this loose because it's a reverse thread. Now, I don't want to run it too deep in there because I don't want to mess up what I got. But if this happens to hit the manifold inside the wall, then you revert to this side where it's bigger and it won't hit the wall. But I always start off with this one. Hopefully you won't need this one, and neither will I today. So then, of course, you'll need your crescent wrenches and you'll need your channel locks. On these tools here, I try not to put my channel locks. I always try to use a crescent wrench because I don't like marring these up. So I will try to use a crescent wrench, but sometimes I break things loose with this as well. And then I always put this. Listen, when you install these are 100% watertight. You have a Teflon that goes here, a ring, and that makes it watertight between the manifold and the wall. And then these are Loctite just by nature because of the rubber and the seat. What happens is when you close your water off, when you turn this like this, it seats against this and shuts your water off. When you loosen it, it creates space between the seat and allows water to go through. Now, diverter is almost the same. Let me bring this one back. Diverter is a little bit different in nature. What it does is when you turn it like this and it hits the seat right here, it forces the water up, I believe. And then when you open it and it creates space, then the water will go ahead and go down. I think I may have this in reverse where when you touch the seat and you close it off, it may go down or may go up. It doesn't matter, but it goes one way or the other. And then you loosen it, and then the water will go through this channel, I believe, downward. So this is how a diverter works. And of course, you got two different Teflons because this is your hot and your cold, and this is your diverter because your diverter has a little bit thicker, fatter stem. All right, but why do I put this on? Like everything you see me, I put it on everything because it threads this, so next time the next guy, he won't have to break it so hard because sometimes these can be difficult. Number two, you don't have to tug down too much on the Teflon because you've got this also locking the thread, but it's secondary. And then of course, I also put them on the seats right here because some guys will just run these in straight. And you could, if you're old and corroded in there, you could get a seat where you'll have a constant drip and you'll be like, man, I replaced the seat, I replaced the stem, but I still got a drip. It could be the water making its way between these threads and going out your pipe, especially a real slow one. But if you put this on there and goober it up with this, some guys put tape. I don't like using the tape on these because number one, it's difficult to get in there. Number two, you can't cinch it down all the way without running the risk of stripping the housing inside the manifold. So if you just goober it up with this stuff, that'll be plenty to make this work good. All right, so what we'll do is we'll go ahead, now that we got everything here, we'll go ahead and we'll get this going. All right, everybody, we're gonna see how this is gonna go. These caps will come out. Let me get something for that. Okay, let's see if we can break these loose. Whenever you try to break these loose, it's so easy to strip these. What I like to do is I don't want to push too hard and push that manifold in the wall and mess up something, so I kind of hold back on it and push forward on this and break them loose. This one's difficult. So what I like to do there is open it up because I'm going to be turning it left. So open it up, and then it won't want to turn on me. Now I can put some muscle into it. And then there we go. Now, whether this handle is hard to remove, I'm going to use the handle puller just to give you an idea of how they work. They've got some without a slide hammer, and they got some with a slide hammer. I've got both. Okay, so now I would like to keep all this different because I want to take a picture of all the materials that we take out. Okay, so basically let's just go through here. See, okay, this one will probably come out if I play with it. They're all a little rough. So let's just go ahead, for the sake of the video, and use this. I like to spin these back a little bit. And then you come in here and you kind of see where you're going to be. So you got to loosen this up. Okay, we're almost there. Let's give it a little more. You want these legs to kind of go on like that, as far. And then you go ahead and you tighten this up a little bit until it takes a slop out. And then you take this guy, and as you can see it's beveled. And you do this, and this will open this up and create tension around here. Now, you could put this one in there as a backing if you want. I sometimes don't, but I need a little room to slide that hammer. Okay, so now you could try just wiggling it and going like this, or be careful with this. I've pinched my hand in here every time. Give it a little bit of a, like that, and then a little wiggle, a little wiggle. Little wiggle. Wiggle, left, right. Pull back. Now, when all else fails, I have another one that's a press. This is kind of. There we go. As you can see, why it's so hard to get off. You have one that's a press. You turn it and it'll spin, but if it doesn't want to come off, you just bend the little needle on the tool and it doesn't come off. With this, you can apply a little wiggle and a little bit of a hammer. Okay, so I need a picture of this for the invoice that we're using. It. The management sometimes think that these come right off in your hand and that there's no issue. And everything's easy peasy, but we gotta put a picture in the invoice that these aren't the easiest. This is all time. Time is money. So we go like that. I always start off with a wiggle first to see if it'll come off with a wiggle before I put the hammer to it. There we go. There it is. Did you get a picture of that, Vinny?
Yeah.
Thank you. Take this out, loosen it up right there so you can get it out. And over here, bring these like that. Try a little wiggle. There we go. Always hangs up. Alright guys, that's how that handles. I may be using this wrong, who knows? I've been using this for years, but it doesn't mean I'm using it right. But it works. Alright, so I want to get a picture of this all after. Get a picture of inside there so they know Okay guys, next we're going to take this trim off. As you can see here, this will just spin out. I'll show you how this works once I get these off. It'll be easier when we put it on rather than take it off. The complaint was, and I saw it, it was dripping on the hot side. And I don't rebuild these. You know, most people will, some people will just put a new gasket on there. I'll show you where it's replaceable, but I don't. I buy the trim pack. It's just the way I'm built. It's the way I do things. A lot of people say, well, you're wasting the person's money. Well, you know, I don't know what it is, but most of the owners that I attract I really like and I get along good with, because I don't work with people I don't get along with. I just don't. I'm past that part of my life where I don't need to. But most of the people I work for want me to throw these in the trash can and not rebuild them. They want that nice new shiny trim at the end. So, you know, I just happen to work for a bunch of great people that think the way I do. And so anyway, now what we're going to do is, before we try to remove these, we're going to make sure they're all in the neutral position. Like, it's easy to know where this is. That's open. And then let me have a handle. This one's open. And then on diverters, you never know if it's going in or out. At least out of all these years, I've never paid attention. So you just, if it's this way and you go like this way, just go somewhere in the neutral. All you're trying to do is release the pressure between this rubber and the seat in the wall. So when you go to loosen these, it's not rubbing, it doesn't have a lot of pressure on it. And these are the parts that are rebuildable. You can put a new washer on there. Rubber washer and a new seat and keep this part, but like I said, I'm just not into it. And we're gonna take these out. Let's see here. I'll get a picture of that later. Now that we're done, we'll take this out of our way. Takes less room in the toolbox if we get it this way. Okay, so now that we know that these are open and there's no tension between the rubber and the seat, we'll take our socket here. Now, the socket here goes one way or the other. See, these are packing nuts. I'll explain about these when we get towards the end of the video, because from the factory they usually come loose. Okay, so now, if I'm using a throwaway tool like this, I may put my channel locks on it because I love channel locks. But if not, and you don't want to mar up the tool, then you'll use your crescent. Everybody knows there's a right way and this way for loosening and tightening, but it doesn't matter. Whatever way you can get on this thing and create a little space right there, if you're right-handed, you just do it like that. And you can put it this way, that way. I mean, if it's just the sake of loosening it, I put it this way, because if I go the other way and I go here or there, it just doesn't want to grab where I want to grab. Yes, Mom? Okay, one moment. Okay, go ahead. We're going to take a break. Alicia's calling for help over there. We're going to go see what she needs. Okay, Alicia has called Vinny over here, not so much because she needs help, but this is a teaching experience for him. And so she wanted to show him something. We're going to find out. She's still under the weather. She came to work and she had a fever last night, but she still came to work. But you know, we have to get this done, and she's here anyway. Oh, go ahead and show them what you want to.
Okay. This is what you have underneath. It's hard to break it loose when you have so much rust in here. So what you do is, in this case, I pulled the drawer to hold it myself. I used a small plier and I grab into it the best I could, like this. And then you have this washer, which goes on the top, like this. So I'm just use my pliers on top and hold that one and work it loose.
Work it loose.
And it came up from the top. It's got less threads. It's only a small flange, and you don't have to work almost. And it just drops.
And that's good advice, because in this business,
you gotta do it
if
somehow.
you don't, and if she didn't tell you about this, you'd have to figure it out on your own, which you would.
This is it.
But it's nice to have somebody that can.
So I reach over, try to hold it there. And then have my pliers here, right? And hold it, and then the nut is right in here, like that, and just break it loose.
Start over with the nut is right there.
Okay. See the nut, this goes, it's just, you need to go to the other side, this way.
Gosh.
Watch. It goes like that. And then we have a nut right here. So you reach over with these pliers, grab into it, just like that. And then just put the pliers here. Be careful because you can start the runner if I just go like this. See that?
Alrighty.
Like that. And just
Get it loose. And you'd be surprised. I know people watching this say, well, any idiot can figure this out.
Oh, no, you
But I have seen people on the job where I was working around them and they'd ask me to hold something for them because they couldn't break it loose. And I would show them that trick, and I was surprised that they couldn't compute that. You know, so it's nice.
Whatever gets on your way because it's trash, just cut that hose as the way it drops.
Yeah, it's all trash, so cut it and get it out of your way. All right, thank you, Alicia. Alrighty, let's get back to this over here. All right, we're back here, and this tub is all scratched up to begin with, and it's going to be getting a reglaze job. I'm going to fit everything, and then after I fit everything and it's all fitted and works good, then I'm taking all the trim off, including this and that, and then they're going to reglaze along. Surprisingly, they don't want to change the shower doors. They're going to reglaze without new doors. So Alicia's going to scrape all that and caulk it before the reglazing. Then they reglaze over everything. Anyway, so I'm not too worried about me keeping a piece of plastic down. Okay, the crescent wrench, Vinny, I think over there somewhere. Okay, I don't know where I left off, but okay, this one. So let's get a crescent on there. And when you're using this crescent, I just say this because, you know, some people know and some don't. But when you fit this, oh, it fits good. I always like to wiggle the crescent wrench around and tighten it up a little bit while I'm wiggling it to take any slop out of it like that. So then, yeah, you have to give it a little bit. But sometimes if you don't, you'll end up, like if you just tighten it and think it is, you'll end up spinning it. But if you take the time to kind of wiggle it around and pull down on this, and you get a nice firm grip, and then you're good to go. All right, so these are all loose. So we'll put that over here. We'll take these out. I want to keep them all. We're putting a new toilet seat, so it doesn't matter. Okay, this is the diverter. And then I'll show you a couple mistakes people can make with the diverter in a minute when we go to put all this back. Okay, Vinny, I need a picture of me with my seat wrench taking out the seats, so they know that I'm taking out the inner seats. Okay, inside there, I don't know if you can see the seats in there, Vinny. See if you can get a picture in there. You can see the shiny little seat down in the throat. If you notice, the one on the left right here has a little nick in it. All it takes is a little nick. We'll see when I pull it out. Always make sure you get these old rubbers out too, because you don't want to stack rubbers. And what I do is I get a light and I look and I get a pick and I make sure I'm not stacking a new Teflon on an old Teflon. We'll get to that later. But right now we're going to break that seat out of there. Did you get a picture of this thing?
No,
go ahead.
I can't. That's what we're doing. There you go. Okay.
Let's see. Okay, that was good. Now, you don't want to lose these down the wall, especially when they're new. But this is an old one. And you can see where it could be a leaking issue, but it's not as bad as it looked that when it was in there. Okay, get a picture of this, Vinny, so they know I'm taking them out. so now we'll get the one here. Okay. I don't stick a brush in there and clean the threads where these go. I'm afraid that if you put a nick or something in that thread, then you've got a bad issue. But this one, other than the corrosion on the top, which could be making it leak and drip, could be an issue. This one is not so bad at all. They're all corroded. Okay. So basically we have this stripped down now. The only thing I do want to make sure is that I'm not stacking any washers on top of old washers. So everything looks pretty good. I just want to make sure, yeah, everything looking good. And then of course you could look at the old ones and make sure all the Teflons came out with them. And the reason why I say you look at them is because, yeah, you could look and they could all be there, but the next guy, the guy before you, huh?
That's debris on there.
Yeah, the guy before you could have double stacked one. So even though yours comes out with all the Teflon rings, you still want to look in there and make sure the guy before you didn't leave a ring in there. So you do your inspection and everything is looking good. Like that. We're looking good. Okay. Now, this is the part I hate about shutting off the water. Is I usually, when I shut it off at the house or not in the street, I love to flush these. Because you break debris and crap out, and then it falls in, and then it comes back up when you turn it on, and then what happens is it goes straight to the diverter, and then that's where your diverter, you go to try to close it, and it drips because you got a bunch of shit there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do the hot and the cold, and then we're going to go to the street, and we're going to crack it open and just blow the crap out of it just for a second. And then we're gonna do the diverter last. So that way we're good to go. Okay, so now let's go ahead and do the hot and cold. Now on these here, it doesn't really matter left, right, they're universal. So now notice how these are real loose. They come loose from the factory. They do that because they don't want to pre-compact the packing nut where the packing is already been crammed down. You'll do that after the job is done. So okay, we need here a Teflon. Sorry, let me get out. I want to put the cream on it anyway. So let me.
So you want a black one though, right? Because there's two of them.
Yeah, there's two different sizes. There's a black, two black, and one white. The white is for the diverter because it's a little bit fatter, and the black is for the hot and cold. As you can see, it just goes threads on it. It has these little prongs on there to keep it centered. So I kind of like to give it a good start, and then once I get it started, I just thread it down. I don't try to break it down, break those tabs. I just thread it down. That one little one right there. I don't like them to go in crooked. And then use the force of the compression to make it flat. I'll try to get it as flat as possible. There we go, as flat as possible. Okay, I'm gonna go over here some. So now we're gonna take this, and yes, the Teflon is waterproof. You know, it keeps it, but if there's a little debris on the housing going between that and this will help. Okay, we'll go ahead, we'll go to the right side first. Okay, the first thing I'm doing, and I'm screwing up, is I'm not putting the seats in. So now the seats, the same thing. We're gonna goop it up a little bit. Let me go over here. Can you get a picture of me gooping this crap up? for the video, for the,
Yeah, I got it. Invoice. Okay.
thank you. And you don't have to do this, but I do. It makes it, because as you've seen, it was corroded in there, and this helps keeps the corrosion down, threads in easy. No big deal. Hey guys, Alicia called us again, but this time it's not for a tech trip, or a tech tip. She says we got a problem child here. And I want to make sure, Alicia, we get pictures of all this. What's the problem? I already know. I can see.
Nothing's coming out here.
Huh?
The washer is kind of disintegrating while the same token is still on.
Right.
And it's not coming easy, so I'm just breaking the washer apart.
Uh-huh.
But we still got that knot that I need to deal with. So I'm trying to make some room. I think there's no way to return this knot in here. Maybe we need to cut a knot in here.
Okay, is it brass nut?
Yeah.
Okay guys, we're gonna help her. We're gonna get this on video. We're gonna get our osculating DeWalt tool with a nice sharp blade. She wants to cut the nut from underneath because as you can see, look at all that. This is what she's dealing with. So, and then that one nut, and you can tell how old this has been here. So let's go ahead and help her out. We're gonna go get some tools to help her and get her on our way moving forward, and then we'll go back to that valve job. Okay, everyone, we were down trying to get the tool that she needed, and she called us and said that she got it. So, show us what you got.
Okay.
Let me get a picture of this. Can you get all these pictures before? Go ahead.
This part I did. You see the knot is all messed up. So I sprayed WD-40 top and bottom. But then this one I start just folding it, but it's still hard. But I start rolling it, and then I got it off. And then I thought maybe because the knot underneath, you know, it might not come off through the hole. But and then I took my knot over here from the cold and hot, and I measured the center of this one, and it's different size. So I got lucky.
Cool. Good job. I'll just take my thumb and just like that a little bit. There we go. And then I'm gonna go get me a towel after I'm done. Now, when you do this, you're gonna want to put her in straight, and then you're gonna want to go left like Lucy and Goosey, and then try to find the thread. And if it's nowhere to be found, then you just take it out and start over here, and eventually you find it. And especially if you have, when you're doing a repair and you got, let's say you're doing a repair of the diverter seat and you don't need to be messing with this or that. Then what happens is you got two handles that you have to work around right here. So let's say you start off here and you can't catch a thread. And then what I do is I take this off, spin it a half a turn, and then I start over and try to find it. And then once I get it threaded, then I use my finger to thread it in the rest of the way. And then when it gets kind of tight, then I take over with this. So let's pretend.
Let me see you do that.
Okay, let's do this. Let's pretend that there's a handle here and a handle here. So I'll go in somewhere about there, and then I'll go to the left till it touches the handle, and then I'll see if I can grab a thread. And now right there, I'm touching the handle again on this side. So what I'll do is I'll look at it, and I'll take it out, and it looks like it's hanging there. Then I'll thread it with my finger, and if it feels good, and which it does, I do it till I can't, and then I come in here and I got two handles here, remember. I find the hole here. I got another one later. Look at that, you're working between two handles. So you get the point now. I want to get this job done, but you're working between two handles. Now let's just get this done. So now you got it here. Okay, it feels good. So what I do is I grab it here, and I just don't put the weight to it because you don't want to torque the manifold inside. So I support it here, and I go here, and you don't, it may look like I'm putting a lot of power, but I'm not. In fact, I'm using an open palm, and I'm just looking for increments. Watch. But right there, that's all you need. You just don't want that to come loose when you're opening the valve and that black rubber is pushed on it. You don't want it to work that loose. So just grab it and watch. But right there, that's all it needs. It's more of a fill thing, you know. You have to fill it, get used to it. Now, if it does break loose, the only thing that'll happen is you'll get a warning, and then somebody will be calling you telling you it's dripping. And then you know, most likely you did something wrong with that. And there's only like 3 threads on here, so you got to keep that in mind. There's not much turning to do. here now, and we'll find it. A little bit back, nothing. I'll go forward, then a little back, forward, a little back until I find the threads. And if you ever get resistance, stop and do something different, because these are easy. They're brass and they're easy to strip out. Okay, it feels good there. Now I'm going to take it down here where I'm able to judge it a little better. I'm backing it up, and then I'm going to, like that. That feels, that when they open that water and that rubber's compressed, it's not going to make that loosen up. So I feel good with that. I'll need a picture of me putting this in the wall. And you guys might wonder what the management company doesn't trust me. It's not that. They trust me wholeheartedly. What it's for is when my invoices go to the management, he's the type of management company that he doesn't put anything on his bill on labor. Like a lot of management companies will put 10% on whatever I do. He doesn't. So he bills the owners directly. He sends my invoice, he forwards it through email to them with all the pictures. And when they see that I'm going to charge $95 for this trim kit labor, they're like, oh, what, a couple screws and this and that and it's done? No. If they go through the invoice, they'll be able to see all the pictures, how much work I had to do for that $95. And I never get any resistance. Before pictures, I used to get all kinds of shit from these people. Hey Vince, just 3 handles and a stem, I could have done that, you know, but I'm just busy and tired and I got arthritis, and I do too, by the way. But anyway, they give me all these excuses how they could do it, and that they have, all they need is a screwdriver and a pair of pliers. So now, with all these pictures I include, when Brandon sends from Brand Management, #1 management company out there, and he is, I wouldn't be saying crap if it wasn't. Anyway, with that being said, he forwards my invoice and they get to see the work that I actually had to get through, and they have no problem paying me my $95.
Pick. Want to pick?
Yeah, please, pick.
Okay.
Thank you, son. There we go. Found the thread. There we go. Now I'm going to bring it down here where I got better judgment. Back it up. And then... Now, let's say, for instance, you screw up and you strip it. Well, there's 2 things you can do. #1, what I'd probably do is just replace it. They make a repair. Moen makes a nice repair plate where you can cut this big hole and my Moen plate goes on there. It's a or whatever kind of plate where when you screw up, you put it on. Anyway, the bottom line is, if you screw up and you don't want to replace it, you can take that same thing, and there's some stuff called copper bond, which is great for copper and brass. And you just brush your 2-part epoxy on there, and you get it in there and you tighten it, and you don't go to where it wants to strip. You just tighten it to where it, in fact, you could practice with it. You could kind of put in the strip piece and turn it a few times and see where the stripping point is. And then when you find that out, then you put some 2-part epoxy and you go in there and you turn it right to that stripping. And if you happen to go over it, then take it back out, put the epoxy on real fast, and do it again, and don't go so far. Just draw it right up to the stripping point. Give that 5 minutes, and then after 5 minutes, that copper bond will seal up these threads and bind it to the housing. I did that on one job, and it was somebody had stripped one out, and it wasn't me who stripped it out, but you could tell it was stripped out because they built it up with Teflon. So basically, the owner already knew it was the issue because I think he was the one that did it. But we went and did that copper bond, and I still go to that building. And one day, I had to resurface it because we knew we wouldn't be able to get it out. They sell a tool that will actually resurface this. So we knew we had put epoxy on there like 9 years ago, 10 years ago. So what we did is we bought the surfacing tool and we changed out the other ones and we just resurfaced this one. Eventually I'll have to replace it, but that's just a little trick I thought I would share with you. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure that everything is good here real quick because I've been doing a lot of talking. Okay, let's go see what your mom wants. Alicia's calling. Let's go see what she wants.
Record?
You need a new battery?
Yeah, for both.
Let's go get one. Alrighty, let's get back to work. We thought we were going to be able to help her, but she took care of it. Okay, so next let's go ahead and we started this guy right here. I got all the seats in. Did you get a picture of that for the man?
I'll do it now.
Thank you. Let me get over here with this.
Oh, my phone's glitching out. Alright, good. Good?
Okay. Okay, same thing with these. You want now here's the thing. When you're going inside, look at all this fiberglass and shit. You got to be careful. You don't want to get all this crap on here because when it does, it may push it in front of this and then you end up with not a good seal when you use it. So I thread through here like this and I make sure I don't drag on the sides. And then I get her in without any of that debris on my Okay, can I have the socket, please? Okay, when you tighten these up, make sure this is all the way open, because if this is closed and you're sitting on the seat in the wall and you're trying to tighten this, when you loosen this up, you're going to have some play. So make sure this stem is all the way out before you try putting the wrench on it. I'm just going to try here. These sockets are good when you need to go into the wall, but if you got a little bit right here to grab onto. Did we put a Teflon in here? That's the one with the Teflon.
Yes.
Okay, I remember. I Tefloned it. I put the Teflon and I put the cream. Okay, so you'll know when you hit that, and you don't want to squash the Teflon and smash it too much where it bellows out and becomes useless. So I like to feel for it, and where it wants to really, it's hard to explain the tension, but just watch. About right there. And then I will check all that. Once I turn the water on and I get everything in there, then I'll open it all up, and before I put the trim, I'll make sure there's no seep between the thread and the housing, the manifold. So with that being said, I'm just going to give it one more just to see. But right there, that feels better. Okay, so now let's go ahead and we're going to goober up these two right here all at once. And okay, now this is a cold or hot, and this, you can always tell the diverter, it's a little bit fatter here and it's got the holes right there. So, and I think we already went through, when you close it up like that, that forces the water up. When you open it down like this, and when this is inside, you see this right here? When this is inside the housing, you don't have to worry about this not floating right. When it's right here, see how it wants to float crooked? When it's in the housing and there's no room, there's no play, this will float because it's on a bevel right here. So this will come down if it's in the housing, and it'll self-center itself like that. And then what happens is this is mostly watertight, and this keeps the water from going up. So this diverts it down to here, down the tub spout. Okay, so anyway, with that being said, when we're going to put it in, you want it in the open position. You're going to put the Teflon ring that goes to that.
Did you want to do that after? First?
I was just gonna goober them all up at one time. That's one. Now we'll do number 2. Again, you want to make sure this is that way. That way when you thread it in, the seat and this don't touch, because remember, if it's like this, and then you tighten it, and then you go to loosen it, you'll have some play in there. So you want this all the way back. Okay. Now we'll get some of this on here. All right. So this one is a hot. Okay, we got the. That one in. Now we're going to go for this one. Now we'll talk about these loose stems after. Okay, now the diverter. This diverter don't have very many threads, so. A lot of that mush you feel in the beginning when you're tightening it is because you're seating the Teflon ring. And once it firms up like that, now you know you're on course. So I'm just going to give it a little bit more. I'm going to support it and like that.
Also, you want to have that stem, right? You
Yeah.
want to have it sunken in.
Yeah. So now what we're going to do is let me clean up a little of this old caulking. They're going to, I'm going to take it off anyway, and they're going to reglaze after it's all on, but I still want to, so it sets right, because sometimes the reglazer, even though I hate to say it about him, he'll just reglaze over it. He sands it, but then he leaves a lot of this, so let's just go ahead and knock a little bit off, just so it sets right when I do it. Can I have a picture of this, Benny?
Wait. That's a good pick. Money shot. Okay.
Oh, look at that. That's right on. Look at that. You better take that off. Okay, so now let's do this guy. See, there's about 3 of us with this management company, so yes, I've had this building a long time, but there are other maintenance guys that come here, depending on how busy each and every one of us are. And sometimes the owners do request certain ones, like they'll say have this guy go instead of this guy, and I get a lot of compliments from the owners. I think it has to do with my invoicing. It's really transparent invoicing, and that's what these guys really care about. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we'll still talk about these packing nuts later. I just want to see where this one is. Okay, so there. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's talk about them now. If you notice, I can almost loosen this with my finger, every one of them. They come that way from the factory. What you want is these keep these stems from leaking water. So you want these packing nuts tight, but not too tight. For instance, a little crescent wrench would be better.
Here, right here.
Okay. But watch. I'm going to take this and I'm going to tighten it. Since I have a little experience with these, I kind of know where they should be. But what you do is you keep a handle on them and you feel them every time you tighten it. And you'll see how it's starting to firm up. You don't want it where it's hard for the person to turn it, but you don't want it sloppy loose. So we're going to just keep going until it feels better. Because right now, anything I do is going to protect it from leaking because I'm past that leakage point. Now I'm just doing what feels good. If somebody grabs it and just spins, well, you know, they don't like that. They want to feel like they're actually turning something, but they don't want it too tight. And you don't want to squash out the packing and ruin it where it's, you know, going to prematurely, you know, not work. So this is feeling pretty good. And you always have this little wiggle. There's no way to get rid of that. But the tension on it, if you could feel it here, you see it's getting nice and stiff compared to this one where I can just use my finger. So I'm saying this is about right there.
What happens if my knob is already stiff and I've had it in for a while? And if I decided to loosen it, what would happen?
You can loosen it if it's not that old. If it's been there a long time and then you loosen it, you may get a leak. Okay. But if it's a newer fitting, you can still loosen it and not have it leak.
Gotcha.
But if it's...
So loosening might be a little bit...
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but usually if you got somebody that knows what they're doing, it's going to be right.
Gotcha.
And we'll open one of these up when we're done to see what's in there. You can actually buy repacking and repack them, but like I said, I don't ever go that far. I always just buy new stems. That's feeling perfect. There we go. You can feel it once you hit a certain point. You can feel it. Go ahead and feel that, man. Still loose, still easy, but firm enough.
This is looser than this one.
Yeah, I might not get them like torqued on, but you know, 100%. But I get them to where they feel almost the same.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's to me about the same.
There you go.
Do they feel too loose? Would you prefer if it was yours? What would you prefer?
This one feels real loose.
Okay, here we go.
Better.
Okay.
Has that like drag to it?
Yeah, you want a little drag to it. That way it doesn't open up on you through
good.
vibration of the water.
Want to close them off?
Now what we'll do is we'll go ahead and close these all. That way when we turn on the water we won't know. And we'll try this guy, make sure this feels good. Okay, we'll close that. Okay, so now let's put the trim on. Okay, can you get a picture of that for me? For the management? Not the management, the owners. Okay, now with this trim, you got all kinds of different trim, but for Pfister, you got these guys. You got some with the outer ring, you got some with the inner ring. This basically is going to thread onto this and go to the wall. Now, I don't put a whole lot of time into sealing it off with outside caulking. But what I do like to do is I like to put plumber's putty around there. That way water doesn't go behind and in which we're going to do. But first let's just do this part. Let's get these in. These thread into the packing nut right here. They thread all the way in. Give me two more. Look at that. They don't have to be tight. You don't have to put a wrench on it. You don't have to do anything to screw up these threads. Now I have had them where I've had to actually cut the plastic down and then I put the cut part into this end because this is really, you know, fine thread. But just I'm gonna put plumber's putty. That way, because if you don't, you just put caulking. What happens when people shower on these fiberglass, they lean on it and they flex the fiberglass, and next thing you know, the caulking around it right here is broken, and then water's going in there and into the wall. So we're going to stop that from happening. But anyway, you thread this on basically. I won't thread it all the way down, but you thread it like that till you get it on there, and then you just spin this all the way to there. And then the plumber's putty will squish out of there, and you know you got a nice, good job. And the owners love to see plumber's putty. They know that they got their money's worth. I thought I would talk about this plumber's putty a little bit because I use it for everything, just like that white stuff. There's two types if you go to Home Depot. You got the one with the white cap, and you got the one with the blue cap. The one with the blue cap is for granite, so it doesn't stain your granite. This one is for everything else but granite, but I still use it for granite because I haven't seen no difference. I've taken faucets off of granite countertops 4 years after using that stuff. Still has a little stain to it. Not even much better. It's about equal. But the difference between the white and the blue lid is it's softer. This stuff here is softer. Now,
what color lid is that?
This is the white lid.
Okay.
White lid. This is what do you call it when it's the first generation?
First gen?
Yeah, the original.
Oh.
Okay, so you could soak this up with hot water, and if I would have thought about it, I would have filled the sink beforehand, but I didn't. And so now we're going to talk about how to get it usable. Now, number one, the one with the white lid is softer than the one with the blue lid. So what I like about it is when you're trying to seat down that trim and make it watertight, the blue one, you can end up stripping out the threads on that plastic, where this here will conform. So basically, to get this warmed up where it's usable is I just work the hell out of it like this. And no wise ass jokes. You'll know when it's two different temperatures, it keeps splitting apart. Once it's all warmed up to the same temperature, it just blends together. When one's colder than the other, it starts breaking apart when you do this. And then what I do is I'll use this right here to roll it out to the desired. Can you go get those trims to me? And no, I'll go get them.
I got them.
I got them. Okay, got these trims. I just kind of get them the way I want them. Two different temperatures. See how it's breaking apart? Once it's warm, it'll go all to one. Okay, about like that, because now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take it like this. I'm going to run that bead up against that rim over there. And I'm going to smash it down a little bit just so it sticks to this, but not to where I lose the thickness. I want it to smash out by the wall, but yeah, it'll stick there. A little bit thicker. Okay. Okay, can you get a picture of this for me, Vinny? So that, for management. How is it in there like that? Thank you. Okay, let's go see how this turns out. I only need the one with the soap. That's gonna go in the trash. We'll see it. And all this excess overkill, you just put right back in the tub. It's full of contaminants and stuff. Okay, so here we go. Let's start off with this one. Come here. Now, you see how this has got these teardrops? Where they've damaged this? They make another one of these with a teardrop. If that doesn't cover, then we're going to replace these with teardrops. Like I said, they're going to come off for the guy who's going to refinish. But let's see. We'll buy 3 teardrops so they match. I'll show you what I mean about the teardrops. I got one on the truck. When you're tightening it, keep it centered. See that wiggle? Keep that wiggle centered. That way you don't start cross-threading on this. And then as you tighten it to squish this out, keep that from going one way or the other. Kind of keep your eye on it so it doesn't cross-thread. Because this shit will cross-thread easy. Okay, as you can see, it's starting to squish out a little bit, which is good. As long as there's something between here and there, we're all good. And the hole's not there, so we don't have to worry. We will, once the job is reglazed, we'll put caulking around it too. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Let me have the next one, please. Can you get a picture of me threading these on? Okay. So here we go. Let's not cross thread. And you can see how the holes are, and you can see how much fiberglass there is. And you can see how this is going to squish along there. You may not see a lot of it come out, but it's there. You can see it's going to hit right on the money. And you can see that I'm up enough that it's going to actually do its job. A lot of people put nothing. And they caulk around it, which is good, because we're going to caulk around it once we come back after the reglazing, and we got to put these back on. On the finishing touch, we will caulk around them to give it that extra. And I probably would have waited on the plumber's putty and put it on at the final part, because when we come back and it's been reglazed, I probably would have put the putty on then, but I did it for the sake of the video. That way I don't miss a step.
Watch your watch.
About like that. But this can all go back in the now it can't. This will go in the trash can now. Okay, let me have that one. Okay, right here it feels like it wants to cross thread for some reason, so I'm going to keep it straight. I don't like the way that's feeling, so we'll keep working it. There we go. Now it wants to go straight. Now, a little something I want to tell you guys is, if you notice, I'm doing these in no special order. There we go. There we go. Okay, let me explain just a little something here. Okay, I'm not putting these on in any special order. You don't have to. But if you notice, I tightened up this one, and then this one, this one. Now, if I have over tightened one of these more than the other, this one's going to be sloppy. So what I like to do, it's almost like a lug nuts on the car. You do this one, you do that one, you cross them. At first, when you put a car tire on, you can put all the lug nuts, one in the order, hand tight, boom, boom, boom. And then when you go to tighten them down and torque them, you go here, 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 and all that. Same here. Thread them all on in order, and then whatever order that may be, and then you go back to them and you keep cross going, because when you pull up on the other, it makes the other one loose. And then eventually you'll get the slop out of the manifold in this tub, and they'll all be about the same firmness. So let's just check here. This one's still tight. This one got looser quite a bit. Now this one. Now we'll check here. This one's still tight. And it's probably because it's got that oval. That feels good. No space. Everything's good. We'll call that done. Now, these plastics can be all the way out here as long as it doesn't affect the handle.
This is a cold.
Okay. And it doesn't matter which way they go, as long as you don't have to put the cold handle. You put the cold on the hot. Right, and I'm just letting you know that you can take all these out and give me any handle you want. It's just these. This will matter which way it goes.
Okay.
So go ahead and pull those out if you can. Now, one little trick I'll tell you guys I like. I don't know that it'd be so much a problem if you're in a home, but if you're gonna have tenants here with kids, I like to take a little purple Loctite and put it on here. I'm not gonna do it now because these are coming off for the reglazer. I use purple because that's just for hand tight. It doesn't give you any, like blue is removable, red is permanent, and purple is like almost just a hand tight. So usually I put a little drop on there because what will happen is these will start to wiggle loose a little bit, and once they do, usually they don't say nothing, and when you get the call to go out there and fix it, usually this part or the handle part's all stripped out because they just kept working it. So if you put a little purple Loctite on there, that'll stop. Yes, it has these little ridges that keep it from loosening up, and these, I don't know how long they've been doing that, but before they used to be smooth, so I got in the habit of purple Loctite, and I still do. So we put that on, and these shouldn't be killer tight. What I do is snug them up, and then I hold the handle from whatever, and I just give it about like that. And
Yeah, take the cap off. Nails.
And I need to buy some more purple Loctite, by the way.
I think you got a new tube in the back. But yeah, you could.
No, that's blue, ain't it? Not purple. I don't put,
Oh, yeah,
I don't
it
put
is
blue
blue.
on this. I put purple.
Yeah, you could.
Okay. Okay, so anyway,
Here's a cold.
okay, that'll go on the right.
Yeah.
Okay, when you put these tabs on, loosen it up and then find out where your hand's going to want to tighten it. And because you're not supposed to crimp these. If they're in good condition, this is all it takes to shut it. And then you put this on after you get where you think it's going to be turning off. And what I usually do is I wait until I turn the water on, and I'll shut them all down and kind of see how much force each one needs, and then I put these on where they're supposed to go. But because of the video, we'll just do that right now.
This is diverter.
Okay, diverter. What if this is open? I think the water comes down. If it's closed, what is it? Closed goes up.
I forget. I think.
Okay. Well, anyway, we'll wait on that one. But I'll check it, make sure everything's working, and then we'll put this on last. This arrow, we'll make sure this is in the up position, and then we'll put this one on. So for right now, And like I said, it's not gonna matter, but for the sake of the video. So I'm gonna go here and I go about like that. That feels good. What basically happened was I was going to show you how I open a main line, water line in an apartment building with 5 or more units. I had one crybaby that had noticed 24 hours beforehand, and he come out complaining, and I told him it'd be another 15 to 30 minutes, didn't know, and he gave me a sigh, and he said, I gotta flush the toilet. I said, excuse me? Yeah, I've got an open water line, and you know, anyway, he went inside, but still trying to be as courteous as I can. I went out there and I opened it, and I should speak a little bit on how we open the main valve on the street. Basically, what I do, since we had 2 points of interest, we had the diverter, the shower rebuild, and Alicia's got her faucet over there. What we do is we do a 3-way phone call. And then I went out there, and while I was turning on the water, and what I do is I have them both open a water line, hot and cold, in one of the other faucets that they haven't been working on. That way, there's no banging the line. When that water comes up, it has a place to exit. And I did shut off the hose downstairs where I was draining the building, but I shut that off and I went to the water line, and I do it in increments. I do it when I can barely hear it going through the pipe, and I give it like 3 or 4 minutes. And then when they start to see a dribble, then I give it a little bit more. And then when they tell me that it's starting to come out normal, then I slowly go the rest of the way. And then, of course, we're on the phone. That way, if Alicia's having an issue or Vinny has an issue, I shut her down. But the main thing I'm trying to, whether it's a house, you want to open your main valve slow and have something open inside. Rather than open it up and just have the water hit the air that's in the lines and hit hard, always have a few fixtures open. That way, as you're turning it, you get a little release and it's not a sudden shock, because you can blow old water lines off. You can, a lot of things can happen. So with that being said, I just wanted to throw that part in the video. Now over here, we got everything on. There'll probably still be some air in the lines, but he had this one going for a while. And but let's just see what we get here. We're going to turn it on, do the hot. Now we'll do the cold. That means Vinny got most of the air out through that faucet. Do both. So Vinny did get most of the air out that way. When we were trying to get all the dirt and crud out that way, Vinny took the aerator off and let all that crud come out from opening the valve on and off out there. And most of it went that way instead of this way. So now let's try the diverter. As you noticed, they had a diverter up there, down here, when you didn't really need it. That tells me they couldn't fix it. Now we're going to see if it's working right. Okay, that's all the way, and you've got not even hardly a dribble. Let's see if that starts turning. That goes down to almost nothing. Look at that. So this is really not needed. You could go back to another tub stop without it, but in this case, we're all good. So now let's wander over to the tap should be there. No, it's over here.
I moved it over there. Well, they're probably dropping.
It's right here. Okay, by the way, remember we want to find out up and down. That's down, that's up, that's down. And we'll put this cap in the down position. There's the arrow. Right there, so we'll put it right there, down. Vinny is going to scrape the hell out of this. He's been scraping the heck out of this because we gotta, before usually we let the reglazer do all this, but we've learned in the past it's better if it's this bad that we put a little time into it before he comes.
Is this yours?
No, but you can have it. Let's go see how Allie's doing over here. Okay, let's see how Alicia's doing. Okay, Alicia's got her new faucet on. Oh, just to let you know, this drain wouldn't go in this old sink, so we took a drill with a big old file on it, and routed it out. I wish I would have got that on video. I probably have a picture of it, but anyway, we routed it out so this would sit flush. She's doing good down there. No leaks on the water supply lines. She's checking everything. She's going to hook up the trap and go from there. I'll show you what I used to open up that drain. Let's go down to the van. And we'll see. Because this cultured sink is very old. And it takes the old pop-up drains. And the new one with the outside threads didn't want to go down the chute. So I'll show you what I basically used to open it up on the top and the bottom. Over here, I used this little setup here. There's a file. I have a miniature one of those for doing door locks whenever I put a new door lock on and the strike plate's not exactly right. I have a real small one, but we sent that in there and that just opened everything up. So, and then I was going to tell you how some of those faucets, remember when we were putting that trim and there was a little scratch below the line of the trim kit, the teardrop right here. That if you have a little boo-boo anywhere around there, you put them straight down like that. That's the way they're meant. But if you had a boo-boo on the side, you could maybe turn them and make all three the same in like a design. But you know, these are for the real old-fashioned. And I forget what model, price Pfister, but you can use them. It still has that center post and the retainer ring, so you can use them. I think I'm going to keep this one for emergencies and put it in the plumbing. I know I have everything else but this one. So I think I'm just going to throw it up here and we're good to go. All right, let's get back in there and we'll see what everybody else is doing. All right, guys, let's see what Alicia's got going on here. She put all new decor bulbs in. She's got her faucet in. Everything's looking good. Let's see how she did underneath. Everything looks good there. That's that old plaster that they used to put on these cultured sinks. I don't know if you can see it right there. They used to reinforce the drain. She got her trap back on. Everything was looking good. Let's see if I turn the light this way. There we go. Angle stops at quarter turn. I can see why he didn't want to replace them, even though they're stiff. They are quarter turns that make them recent, but they still show signs. Look. We are going to take these doors off, and they don't come off easy. You have to go little by little because people put this adhesive on, or DAP adhesive or cotton, which is good, but you have to be careful. And then you slowly just work it loose until it's off. Alicia's over there. We tried to send Alicia home, but she didn't want to go home. Alrighty, well, they got everything off. We don't have to clean this because the reglazer is going to sand the hell out of it. And they said I don't have to take the old trim off. They said the guy can tape around it, which he sometimes does. I would prefer to take it off, but they're trying to watch the money, so. Anyway, there's this, so we'll see how it looks. We'll do a part 2 on this video after he does the reglazing, and we'll see how it looks. Alright everybody, well I hope you have a good afternoon and we'll see you on the next video.